What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We are on to week 2 of the July Internationals. There's a bunch of games being cancelled and postponed and everything, but one game that is going to be going ahead is Wales versus Argentina. So we're going to do another preview video for this. For those of you who haven't seen, it's where we chuck on a game of Rugby 20 in the background of the teams that are going to be playing, and then over the top we actually talk about the official teams announced, who we think is going to do well, who might do badly, and finally give a score prediction of what we think is going to happen. Really looking forward to this one. We are going to play with the created Wales team because they're rated slightly lower, make it a little bit more fun. But we've got a lot to talk about, so let's kick off and get this game underway. Alrighty, Dan Big is going to get us kicked off and underway. Let's kick off to the right. Let's make it a bit more interesting. Go with the wind behind us. So, Wales versus Argentina. That ball went straight out. I didn't even want to catch that. Wales versus Argentina is going to be a really fun game. There's a lot to cover in this video because, of course, Wales down quite a few players off with the Lions. Not that a couple of them have played in the Lions because they all came down with COVID. If anyone hasn't seen the review I did for the Lions versus Sharks game, that was a whole conundrum going on for Warren Gatland there. But the Wales team down a few players, but looking like they're actually going to be able to play well. Wayne Pivac still managing to get them gelled together pretty well. And Argentina, you know, still at a top level of rugby, having played very well against New Zealand and Argentina, including getting that first win against New Zealand in the Tri-Nations. When was that? Last year? This year? I've lost track of time, guys, not going to lie. But so there's a big game here. This could really go either way, and I'm looking forward to talking about how this game's actually going to go. So let's start off by talking about the Wales team. Wales played Canada last week, and it was a bit of a demolishing. It was more than I thought it was going to be. I thought Canada were going to hold out pretty well against the a bit of a lesser capped Wales side, but Wales doing very well. A couple of new boys coming in, making their debut, showing off the skills they have, and a scrum that looked pretty dominant, to be fair. There was some good demolishing scrums in there from Wales. Not usually what we get to see from Wales. Wales normally like to have the set scrum, hold position, and then use it as a platform to release players, but not where they wanted to go to. So looking forward to this game. Where are they going to take the team? What does Wayne Pivac want to do? So let's check out the forwards to start off with. So not a lot of change in this forwards from what we got to see in the Canada game. Nicky Smith, Elliot Dee and Dylan Lewis going to be taking that front row again. It's a front row that worked very well against that Canada team. However, Argentina, a much heavier pack, I would probably say, than the Canada pack. So scrums, a bit more of a specialty maybe for the Pumas going to be going in here. They're going to want to have a very strong scrum. We know how well they can do against some of the big boys like Australia and New Zealand. So they're going to be under a lot of pressure here for quite a couple of young lads trying to keep up with the scrummaging going to be going on. Moving forward back to the lock department, Ben Carter's going to be getting his second cap. He had a good game last week, actually. Very happy to see him. And Will Rowland's taking over in that 5 shirt. Someone did drop down in the comments. I think Corey Hill might actually have been dropped out of this Wales team because of a deal going on at club level. So it's going to be a shame we're not going to be seeing him. But Will Rowland's looking here today. He's going to be maybe moving into this lock department on a more permanent basis. He's got the great opportunity now, both with Alan Wynne and Adam Beard out of the team. Gives you a great trajectory there to get into this team. Looking at the back row, Moriarty, Botham and Wainwright. Now there was a back row that worked actually quite well against the Canada team. Moriarty giving away a few too many penalties. It's still an area of his game that he just hasn't managed to nail. He just gives away so many penalties for things unnecessary, whether it's a high tackle, not rolling away, going straight off your feet in terms of the ruck. I would just like to see Moriarty get on top of his discipline just that little bit. You can see him get fired up as soon as it goes a little bit against him, and he just gives these compound errors away. Looking forward to seeing him hopefully improve that game for him. Aaron Wainwright had a little bit of a quieter game than we're used to seeing. I do like Aaron Wainwright in that 6 shirt. I do say it when we see this sort of combo of Moriarty. It's 6 rather than 8. I would like that swap around. I think Wainwright gets released an awful lot more when he plays in that 6 shirt. So hopefully he can have another good game in that 8 shirt. And finally, James Botham. Really managing to settle into that 7 shirt. Not, an easy shirt to get into. There's a lot of big boots to fill there, of course, with Tiprick and Navidi, I guess, really out of this Wales team now. So they'll be looking to try and improve. But it's a strong back row. I think this is going to be a hard test for these lads. They're going in for a bit of baptism by fire. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on against a team as big as the Argentina forwards are. This is going to be a big girls. We're going to go for a damn bigger drop goal. Beautiful 3 points there. But hopefully they can hold it together together and managed to work well together. They did it against Canada. I think that would have been a good warm-up test for them. Moving backwards, I guess, really, we should say. Moving to the backs. Kieran Hardy's going to come in at scrum half. Looking forward to see him get some more caps under his belt for this Wales team. He had a fantastic Six Nations. Really looking forward to see him play with a bit more ball in hand, get some of those sniping runs in. Callum Sheedy's going to retain the fly half shirt, as we sort of expected. I think he's a very good fly half, Callum Sheedy. Really looking forward to see how he get on. The replacement that did come on for him last week seemed to really struggle. I can't think of his name now off the top of my head. But looking forward to see Callum Sheedy again trying to show off a little bit. Going to be up against some tough opponents. They're going to be ready for the kicks going over. This is an Argentina team that played against the likes of Bowden Barrett, Richie Mowenga. They're used to high-end fly halves. So hopefully Callum Sheedy can hold it together. We know he's got a bit of a cool head, so looking forward to that. The centre partnership, Davis and Halaholo again. This mix-up that I much prefer than the other way round. But this is the way that Pivac wants to be playing this one. Jonathan Davis actually having a really good game at 12 last week. I just prefer him in that 13 position. I don't know whether he picked up an injury in that Canada game. He seemed to have a very awkward running style, especially when he was making some good breakthroughs. I do like him in that 13 shirt. And Halaholo, defensively pretty sound. Would like to see him more aggressive in the attacking department, but his defensive work is pretty solid, to be fair to him. And that back three then. Lane coming in on that left wing. Tom Rogers having a bit of a 50-50 game for me last week. Again, one of those players looking very good going forwards, but the defensive element for him, not the best, I would say. Reminds me of a bit of a Josh Adams from a few years ago, where Josh Adams was all about the attack and nothing about the defence, and now he's really beginning to step up his game, as we've seen him do in the Lions now. But Tom Rogers, for me, is one of those players who's going to be quite similar. Going forwards was an absolute monster, but defensive element, he did let 2 or 3 tackles get past him. Let players run past him at one point. There was the Canadian winger literally just outran him round on the outside. He didn't even attempt the tackle. There was a tap and go which he just sort of let get past him. So hopefully there'll be something to look to improve for him. He was making his debut, so a lot of pressure on him, so hopefully he can improve. But Lane coming in on this left wing, I'm a big fan of Lane. He's a big boy. I'm sure down that left wing will be a real advantageous route for them to take. Jonah Holmes taking over the right wing. Still fantastic game from him last week. I think he got 2 tries last week. I've rant and rave about Jonah Holmes, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing him in this Wales team a little bit more. However, anyone who's paying attention to the Lions going on at the minute, Josh Adams and Zammit are playing out of their skin. So really difficult for him to retain this shirt once those lads come back into this Wales team. But hopefully he can retain it, because I really like Jonah Holmes. Fantastic running lines, a great speed on him, and the handling on the ball is really good from him as well. And the final change is going to be Halime Moss in that fullback position, because of course Halfpenny out now with that ACL injury. Real shame for him. In his 100th cap, only played about 2 minutes before doing that injury. And I don't know whether he will come back to the world of international rugby. It's the same thing that happened to Gareth Anscombe. And he's been out for a good 1.5 2 years now. I don't know if we'll ever see Halfpenny back in a Wales shirt, which is such a shame. We'll have to see how the medics and stuff manage to treat that one. But Halime Moss taking over that full-back in area he has done before. Halime Moss is one of those players for me that does so well at club level, but the change from club level to international has just never quite been there for me. I feel like that step up really hits him hard and he really struggles. He's also quite big for his injuries as well. Another one. We saw him in the World Cup. He had his shoulder injury. He's had, well, just countless injuries. I mean, he'd be able to tell you better than me, probably, the amount of injuries he's had. But hopefully he can have a good game and get that settled. I'm not really sure who else will take over in that fullback position if Amos does pick up an injury, but we'll see how he gets on. We are into the second half here, so I will quickly talk about the substitutes for the Wales team. I'll chuck them on screen for you guys. So Ryan Elias in that 16 shirt. I do prefer Elliot D to Ryan Elias currently in that hooker position for Wales, so probably good to see him on the bench. Gareth Thomas and Leon Brown will no doubt do sort of similar to they did that Canada, that 50-55 minute position will probably come on. Josh Turnbull and Tame Basham will come on as well. I know this is pretty much the same bench we got to see last week, really. The main changes coming here at the backs. Thomas Williams on the bench because, of course, Hardy starting. Thomas Williams, I'm sure, will actually probably look to try and maybe get himself a try in that second half. Coming on with fresh legs. We know he likes to run with the ball, trying to get some speed through when a bit of room opens up in that second half. Jared Evans coming in. Looking forward to seeing a bit more from Jared Evans again. Doing very well at club level recently, so it'd be nice to see him getting into the team He must be a little bit disappointed with Callum Sheedy doing so well in this Wales team that he doesn't get the good look in here for this team, but hopefully he'll come on at some point. And finally, that 23 shirt, Nick Tonkins, who had to play everywhere last week. He was playing a bit of fullback, played a bit of wing, played a bit of centre. He was doing an awful lot. But doing well coming on from that bench with so early coming on in that game. I'm sure Jared Evans might be looking here to come on in that fullback position if Amos does go off with an injury. And Nick Tompkins can cover the wing or the centres if you need him to. So there's good coverage in that back row. I think 1 to 23, it's a pretty solid looking team. We just see a massive hit from Dan Baker in the background there. A little clothesline, got some wrestling going on. But strong 1 to 23. It's not the biggest Wales team they could put on, but it's certainly strong. It's going to be a real tough game against the Pumas, in which of course we need to talk about this Argentina team coming from the record finally managing to beat New Zealand. We haven't got to see a lot of them. I didn't manage to catch any of their game. Was it against Romania? It wasn't televised in the UK, which is a shame. I haven't actually even checked out the highlights for them, so I'm going in a little bit blind on the Argentina front. However, I am a bit familiar with some of the Argentina team, so what we'll do is we'll check it on screen for you guys and we'll talk through this team real quickly. And to be honest, there's a lot of big names in this team to actually talk about, but the biggest surprise to me that came out from this team announcement was that Pablo Matera is not going to be the captain for this game. It's actually going to Julian Montoya, so that's a big move because Pablo Matera, of course, leading that team, helping them beat New Zealand, but whether that's going to be a huge positive or a negative, because at the same time, not being captain means a lot of responsibilities are taken away from you. You get to focus on your own job a lot more, what you're doing. He's going to be in that flanker position in number 6, so it actually might be more helpful to him, less to think about, but he's still going to be on the field, he's still going to be leading the team, so Wales can't afford to let that get too much in their minds and think they've now got an easy ride because he won't be captain. There's some other massive names in this Argentina team as well. They aren't messing around at all. Guido Petty there in the number 4 shirt in the locks is a phenomenal player. Really looking forward to see him get on the pitch. Kubeli in the scrum half position, has tons of experience. He's not going to be messing about, along with the halfback partnership of Nicolas Sanchez next to him. These are big players who are going to be able to get into this game right from the off and get right in there. Matias Moroni is someone that I don't know too much about. However, De La Fuente in that inside centre channel is certainly going to be a massive name. He's going to be coming straight up the Halaholo channel, and Jonathan Davis. And Jonathan Davis, although a defensive captain, is going to have his work cut out there because De La Fuente is an absolutely machine when he wants to get going. Juan Cruz Malia is also a massive name in this Argentina team coming in. There's just going to be big boys all around the park, to be honest. They're not messing around. They know the Wales team is going to be bringing big boys in. They've got to bring big boys of their own. And they'll want to be keeping the momentum going from their actual Tri-Nations Cup wins that they had in there as well. They'll want to be getting the most out of that. Let's quickly check out the substitutes first before we talk about the score prediction and what have you. So there's a couple less names in here that I'm going to know. Bosch, Gena, Medrano. In fact, Santiago Medrano is, I feel like I recognise the name of. There's a couple of massive names in here, in all honesty. Domingo Miotti is going to be in there as well. So they aren't messing around. This is a solid Argentina team. And in all honesty, there was quite a few issues I saw with that Wales game against Canada in terms of just letting Canada run through them. Knowing that Argentina are now slowly getting more confident just to run in and just smash through teams, knowing they can win, knowing they can get more and more capable of beating the big boys. They're not going to be afraid of this Wales team, especially when they're missing so many key players. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an incredibly close game and people in the comments might actually be split about who's going to win this one. In terms of a score prediction, what do we think? I feel like Wales will be riding high off of a very decent win over Canada. There hasn't been a huge amount of changes. They managed to keep relatively the same team. The Argentinian team is also massive. Wales have got quite a good ratio of win-loss against Argentina in the recent years, so I'm going to slightly favour Wales for this game, but I don't think it'll be much. I'm going to call Wales to win this by 5. But I can absolutely see people believing Argentina are going to be able to win this game. So Make it sure you drop down in the comments who you think is going to win and by how much for anyone involved with the July predictors that we've got going on. I am going to try and do a video at some point talking about winners and losers in that as well, but make sure you get your votes down on that because I'm really struggling to keep up to date with putting all my scores and stuff on there. I need to get better at it, but that's just my opinion, guys. I am but one person on the internet, so let me know who you think is going to win, what you think the score will be. Who do you think is going to be the try scorers? Who do you think is going to be the key players to look out for? I always enjoy reading through the comments on these preview videos. I am going to be doing these for most of the international games going on through the July series, as well as the Lions Tour going on. So make sure if you enjoyed this style of video that you do drop it a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel just to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I'm really looking forward to this game. This game will also be repeated the week after as well. Wales-Argentina is a double header, so we'll have to see what comes from that, and we will be doing one for the next one. I hope you all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.